When we talk about policing, the headlines are almost always about specific incidents, right? But what if the real story, the one that actually matters, lies a lot deeper? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look past the day-to-day tactics to really understand the systems, the strategies, and yeah, the ethics that are the foundation of modern law enforcement. And that means we have to start with a huge question.
Seriously, think about it. When you see an officer on the street, what are the invisible forces guiding what they do? It's so much more than just responding to a call. The truth is, it's this incredibly complex web of influences, and today, we are going to start untangling it. And the answer really boils down to a dynamic system where three key things are always interacting: the internal structures of a department, the operational strategies they use out on the street, and that all-important relationship with the public trust. If you change one of these, believe me, you impact all of them. This is the framework that's going to guide us.
So, let's dive into that system. Because before we can even begin to understand the actions we see, we have to look at the blueprint of a police department itself.
So here's what we're going to break down. We'll start with that internal architecture, the organizational structure. Then we'll get into their operational playbook, their patrol strategies. We're also going to look at who is joining the force, and just as important, why they stay. After that, we'll explore how they connect with the public, and finally, dig into those critical policies that govern the use of force.
All right, first up, let's take a closer look at that blueprint. The way a department is put together internally, that isn't just some boring administrative detail. Nope, it directly impacts pretty much everything they do. From their effectiveness to their relationship with the community, it's the foundation for everything that follows.
So, what even is an organizational structure? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like the department's nervous system. It's not just a flowchart on a wall somewhere, it's what dictates who goes where, how much autonomy an officer has on a call, and how information and orders travel up and down the chain of command.
And this structure, this blueprint, it creates some very real, very human challenges. I mean, how do you design a system that actually attracts and keeps the right kind of officers? How do you make sure your professional standards are a living reality, and not just some words gathering dust in a manual? These are the massive questions police leaders are wrestling with every single day.
Okay, so we've looked at the blueprint, now let's move on to the playbook. This is all about the strategies police departments are actually using out in the field. It's how they turn their structure and their resources into real-world action.
And right now, we're seeing this fundamental shift in policing strategy. The traditional way was basically reactive. You wait for a 911 call, and then you respond. But the model that's emerging is way more proactive. It's data-driven. It uses analytics to try and predict crime hotspots and then sends resources there before something happens. Think of systems like CompStat, which uses crime mapping to hold commanders accountable. This is a huge change and has massive implications for both crime rates and community relations.
But of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. You could have the most sophisticated structure and the most brilliant strategy in the world, but it can all fall apart if there isn't a strong connection to the public. And that brings us to the absolutely critical issues of trust and accountability.
And this quote from one expert, Dr. H. White, just nails it. Ethical professionals must evaluate how law enforcement structures either strengthen legitimacy or contribute to public distrust. This really highlights a core tension, right? Every single decision, from the department's structure to its patrol strategy, carries an ethical weight. Does it build trust or does it create more distance? That is the constant balancing act.
Building that trust is so complex because police are operating inside this web of powerful influences. You've got lawmakers setting the legal rules of the game. You've got internal crime data shaping their strategy. Then there's media coverage, which molds public perception and can create immense pressure. And all the while, what we, the community, expect from police is constantly changing, constantly redefining their role in our society.
Okay, so now we can start to bring all these pieces together. Because if we really want to have a meaningful conversation about policing, we have to move beyond just looking at single incidents and start to understand the much broader ethical equation that's at play.
And here's the key, the real takeaway. It's all about seeing the connections. You can't talk about a use of force policy without also talking about recruitment standards. You can't really discuss patrol strategies without considering community trust. A true understanding only comes when you can see how all these pieces, the systems, the leadership, the policies, and the public, all intersect and influence each other.
So how can we actually apply this? Well, there's a pretty practical three-step framework. First, analyze the structure itself. Second, critically examine the policies. And that means really digging into the details of topics like use of force or de-escalation training. Are the policies clear?
Are they based on solid evidence? And third, and this is so vital, we have to base the entire discussion on evidence and research, not just emotion. That is how we elevate the debate and actually start to find real solutions. And this brings us to our final and maybe most crucial question. Society is not static, right? Our expectations evolve, technology races forward, and new challenges pop up all the time. So the ultimate question isn't just what policing is today, it's what must it become tomorrow. How can the very structures of policing be redesigned not just for the world we live in now, but for a future that is constantly changing?